Boy, howdy, I tell you, these agenda frauds really don't know quite when to quit or when to realize that the game is up and that they're on the losing team. Oh well. I guess this is my job in life right now, just to keep smacking down the BS and setting the record straight and what all. And, sure, why not? It's, it's something to do with my spare time. So, let me do it this way. Seeing how, supposedly that, nobody's talking dis about me or nobody's doing anything to keep my name on everybody's breath and whatnot through some mock channel site which just somehow just spontaneously, miraculously just poof appeared out of nowhere, and just so happens that it keeps getting activity, and that there seems to be a particular user who seems to just keep going around and just dropping little snide comments and remarks about various people, but in particularly yours truly and his XO. And but somehow that doesn't equate into, I didn't bother with you guys for over a year, I didn't say anything about you, I ain't got anything to say about you. And of course we already exposed on numerous occasions that that's her MO, is the fact that she's too much of a coward and too much of a wuss to actually come head to head with somebody. At least when she does it from the shadows or from some little mock channel or anything. She can't just come direct and come correct. She's got to be all cutesy about it, she's got to be all surreptitious about it, and she's got to go jump on other people's video uploads to try to spread more vicious attacks, lies, rumors, innuendo, whatever, even if the areas where she's commenting on are talking or focusing on absolutely nothing that even remotely relates to the topic at hand. But again, this is how agenda frauds do. So this is just par for the course for Kara Cunt. So let me start off by saying, first of all, you want to try a new tactic now? Since you see that you're getting nowhere fast using your previous tactics, latest thing that you want to try to do now is supposedly you want to call me out on my hypocrisy, which we'll delve into a little bit pretty soon here. But before I get started on that, I want everybody to recognize and realize just why I continue to go after frauds and charlatans like this. Because everybody, well, I won't say everybody, but quite a number of people are out here, they're playing the role of, oh, why don't you guys just stop beefing and let it all rest, give it a break, let bygones be bygones, and can't we all just get along? No, we can't all just get along. And here's why. Because if we just played the little game of why can't we all just get along, so many slanderous, vicious lies and anything else that's out there that people will take and misinterpret and twist and screw around for whatever purpose that they'll use it for, will be allowed to float around, and as they go unchallenged, it becomes gospel truth regardless of what the facts are. So the longer anybody waits to come back to shoot it down, the more work has to be done in order to convince everyone that the accepted story is not the official story. And here's an example of that. Since the old expose, if you will, of one I say this with Yak, she's still doing her little bitchy pissy thing, and of course her number one panty sniffer is essentially, well, actually her number one panty sniffer is like Spanish girl, and but you know, Kara Cunt decides that she wants to be part of that crew also, and along with someone else who decided they wanted to get in on the act now and get some severe doses of red ass from the general. Also, one nay Tiwi, who looked like she was starting. She was going to try to come at this thing straight. But again, as I said, when you try to shoot down BS and they don't take too kindly of it, then they show a whole other side of themselves. But of course, Tiwi and I had our little riffs before, so correction. I kind of got in a few jabs at her. Her main beef was with Colonel of Wisdom, and they really went at it. And I was more or less a spectator, but every rare once in a while I might drop in a little insight here and there, just to liven things up and to get everybody more on the correct page. So now Tiwi decides that she wants to come out of hiding from under the crevices like the cockroach that she is too. So okay, you know, you proved that you didn't want answers or you didn't want explanations, you just wanted to come and attack. So okay, fine. Again, as I keep explaining, let the general show you how it's really done. And so the more you talk, the more you just keep digging yourself in deeper. So you all have to do, all you have left is to resort to things like, oh, are you a male prostitute, or you know some of the other little nonsense stuff that, as I said, doesn't bother me, doesn't faze me, doesn't affect me, because it's not true. And even so, even if it were true, anything that you say that's true, I'll tell you that it's true. I'll acknowledge that it's true. And then I'll ask you, so what? What, you think that hurts me? You think some little thing that you say about me, which is absolute the gospel of truth, that's a matter of fact? I told you, I'm about truth. See, most of y'all don't like truth, especially when it's being told about yourselves. You're very self-conscious. I have nothing and no reason to be self-conscious for. I've come to terms with who I am and what I am ages ago. So nothing phases me. The only thing, as I explained on numerous occasions, is if you try to slander me, if you try to take me out of context, if you try to distort me and my character in some kind of a way, be prepared for the firestorm. Now Tiwi decides she wants to get in on that act too. Okay, fine. I got more than enough red ass in my quiver to hand out in mass dosages for anyone who wants it. But to get back on track a little bit, talking about this little daisy chain of mutual cunt lickers that just essentially keep getting each other's backs, trying to I don't know, find an identity and find a place in this existence. I don't know what the purpose is for why such a nasty cabal. And see, I used to think that the Sister Circle was a heinous troop of and all they ever did was just stink about how bad black men are and how great white men are. That was their whole spiel. But I'm like, that's kitten gloves in stark comparison to this I don't know, we're gonna have to think of a new name for this type of this offshoot of the Sister Circle, because this thing is made up of nothing but pure broken, busted, old, fat, dejected, unwanted, and unloved, just totally throwaway black women, or wannabe black women, from what I understand in the case of what's her face. I don't know the facts about that. I'm just going by hearsay. See, that's how it's done. When you don't know the facts and you don't know the absolute truth, you say so up front. That way you avoid a whole hell of a lot of red ass from somebody else setting your butt straight later on. or at least trying to. But let me get back on track here before I end up going above and beyond what I really intended to do here. But see, when you got cabals like this, and they come after you with all sorts of vitriol and all sorts of distortions on your character and on your words and everything, you can't let it stand and just try to be supposedly the better person by not letting it get to you or not responding to it, because that gives them the power. That allows them to say anything that they want to say about you, and to say it often enough, it will become the gospel truth. And I'll be damned if I'm going to let some daisy chain of mutual cunt lickers try to smear my character and spread slanderous lies, rumors, and innuendo against me or my friends. And which kind of nicely segues into why I don't let up. Because notice how after this latest little resurrection of this, what I refer to now as the dynamic duo, that once they started their little BS again and I lit into their asses, notice how things start to change just a little bit. Not much, because again, they're standing on their agenda fraud positions, so don't expect a full 180. But notice just the little things. For instance, this I say this with herpes zits, was making a name for herself, talking about how she's so powerful and how she's so remarkable because she outed Gen.Backlash and Kernel of Wisdom as being one and the same person, even though she knew we weren't. But that was the whole thing, because enough people could buy into the lie, or even if they knew it was a lie, they just figured like, oh, this will bother them, so let's just keep spreading the lie and rumor and blah 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 blah. All right, fine. But now when your time came up, and it's like, hey, here's who you're following. She's always making herself look like she's so high on herself and that she's so gorgeous and attractive and that men are just falling all over for her. Hey, guys, take a look. Is this what the first thing that comes to your mind when you're thinking about a knockout gorgeous black woman? Hey, what's that I hear in the background? Crickets. Uh-huh. So after we pretty much embarrassed her ass to the hilt, and of course we're still embarrassing her ass, because as I explained before, we're going to see to it that this stuff gets mirrored, that it gets spread, that up until the point where she realizes, like, look, there are just some people you just don't go after without knowing who you're going after first. So now that this whole thing's came out, and she's getting her ass dug into by people who know, people who have personal interaction or personal experience with either myself or with Kernel of Wisdom, suddenly, after all this, hey, why can't we all just get along, and me saying no, suddenly I say this with vagina breath is coming out and saying, well, I gotta apologize that Gen.Backlash and Kernel of Wisdom, they aren't the same person. You think? I mean, was it so not obvious that you had to wait until we started throwing your shit out there? I say we because, again, I did get in on it after the ball started rolling. But I said, you know, hey, I want in this game too. Let's keep it going. So now that you see that there can be a collective of people who actually say, hey, enough of your horse shit, enough of all this slander, all this vitriol, all this trying to play high and mighty. Let's bring you down and cut you down to size. How you like us now? Now all of a sudden you want to admit that you were lying the whole time. Uh-huh. Well, that's all well and good. And of course, on the opposite extreme, her current #1 fan right now, you know, the one who I'm going to keep calling out until she gets it right. Guess what she's doing now in her latest upload? Oh, Gen.Backlash is talking about his wife, and I never said a thing about my wife. But see, here's the deal. She's going around now correcting people with the accurate and correct information. Gen.Backlash doesn't have a wife. He calls Kernel of Wisdom is not his wife. He calls Kernel of Wisdom his friend. So out of his own mouth, he calls Kernel of Wisdom what their relation. I'm like, see how easy it is? All you have to do is listen to what I say, and you'll get it right the first time. I never once, ever said Kernel of Wisdom was my wife. But because I chose a tag team partner, we started a online and offline interactions with each other. We shared ideas. We compared notes. We became friends. So, in everybody's mind and in everybody's interpretation, that automatically means that I'm just going to bring my wife, who was just hiding in the background all this time, and I've got such control over her that I jerked her chain and I told her, bitch, you get online and you say what I want you to say, and you defend black men and you shit on black women, or what? Let's see. What do bad husbands do to their wives nowadays when they're being all abusive and everything? Shit, I don't know anymore. And it's hard for me to figure out because I never was an abusive husband, and I never could be. So that's why I have difficulty rattling inside my brain. It's like, hey, what do bad husbands really do other than the horror stories that we typically hear? Like what? I don't know. Don't buy you menstrual pads for the next 3 months or something, or what? I don't know. You know, somebody help me out there. But see, I wasn't an abusive husband when I was married to my first wife. Should I ever get remarried, I am not going to be an abusive husband. That's not my character. That's not my nature. But be that as it may, little brief segue just to, as I said before, just to show how easy that it's done. See how easily Caramel Vulva Breath just spoke simple, honest truth about me? Because all she had to do was just go by my own words and, for a change, actually keep them in context. Gee, I don't know why that's not so simple for everybody. But be that as it may. So that's why I don't let up. That's why anytime they come up with BS, just like this latest bit of BS that she's trying to throw in my way now, trying to call me out as a hypocrite or as whatever. Because, and this is not the first time that she's hit me with this, but the first time that she hit me with it, which, again, keep in mind, this was before the expose of I Say This on Wick. So this whole idea about not saying anything about us, or not coming at us, or not saying anything to us in over a year, she just busted herself on her own lie. Because she suggested this even before this whole expose came out, where she essentially trying to call me out as a hypocrite because I dug into her ass a little bit. But anyway, she made this statement or this comment, and again, this was something that she had said earlier, considerably earlier, but she decided that she wanted to have it resurface as a way of showing that, oh, I'm just beating up on the girls, or I'm just beating up on caramel cunt liquor because I don't know, I just have I don't know, they're just so awesome that I can't help myself but to come after them because their awesomeness just sears my soul, and I have to relieve myself of all the intense pain, and that their awesomeness just inflicts upon me, so I just got to come after them with all sorts of, so whatever the excuse is. So you threw this at me saying that, well, you're really a hypocrite because you keep coming after us, and you keep going after friends of ours and flows of our network, and you're just beating up on us, but you ain't got nothing to say about a man that threatened your wife. Oh, that's right. You changed yourself around now. Now you acknowledge that she's not my wife. Okay, fine. But at the time you were saying that she was my wife. Now you're saying she's not my wife, but you're still launching the same accusation, which is I was silent. I was totally quiet when Thomas Jerome mugshot out there decided that he was so high and mighty on himself. See, I don't understand why y'all don't get along, actually. I mean, why do y'all hate on him? He does the exact same thing that you guys do. I mean, he comes from the same nasty place as you do. So you would think that you would be having one big love fest or one big orgy with this guy. But whatever. But supposedly, I never called Tommy Mugshot out because of the fact that when he launched his threats against Colonel of Wisdom, my executive officer, that oh, I got scared because I can only beat up on girls, don't you know? I can't go head to head with a man who's just beating up on my wife, my girlfriend, my sister, my cousin, my whoever. So I can only beat up on girls because a man threatened your whatever she is to you, and you didn't have nothing to say about it. You didn't come running to her defense. I want to let that sink in for a while, because it's time that I explained, since it's going to keep getting brought up apparently. It's time to set the record straight and smack down the BS again. Listen carefully. Here's the history of Gen.Backlash and Tommy Mugshot Lying Mayor. Before I engaged or embarked on what I'm referring to as my long vacation, the date was July 3rd, 2012. That was the last day that I had any internet access before embarking on my long vacation, which, for those who bothered to visit Channel T10, would have seen that my departure date was July 4th, 2012. So from that time, my internet access was deactivated, and I was not going online. I did not return actively online in any form, under any circumstances. No net cafes, no Wi-Fi in fast food restaurants, no going to the library, no borrowing somebody's whatever. Absolute blackout radio silence, if you will, from July 3, 2012 to August 5, 2012. An entire month plus a few days had elapsed between the time that I was in dark territory, as it were. I did absolutely nothing online, either from the position of someone who was engaging in activity or who was following any activity. I was in total silence that entire month. No one who was keeping track of me heard even the first peep from me. And many of them were wondering, where have you been? Where are you? And likewise, I had no idea what was going on their side of the screen, because I wasn't listening to videos, I wasn't checking email, I wasn't paying bills, I wasn't doing anything online until August 5, 2012, when I first got re-hooked up to my internet access and began participating again in online activity, including Google Tube. But also, during that time, I was also in radio silence with my XO, Kernel of Wisdom. So for the entire month that I was offline, I was also offline or not in communication with Kernel of Wisdom. No email addresses were sent, no private videos or anything, no text comments, no telephone calls, no letters. I can't even remember the last contact I had with her, but it was before I embarked on my long vacation. And I was still hooked up by July 3rd. And I think it was either that same day or the previous day, July 2nd, that I let it be known to her that, look, don't expect to hear from me for quite a while, because I'm not going to be online for that period of time. I'm probably not going to be on the phone to anybody for that period of time either. My family had not heard from me in that for not quite the entire month, but from about July 3rd to about July 14th was the first time, about more like July 13th, before even anybody in my immediate family had heard anything from me. I was essentially off the radar screen. So I had no feedback from nothing. I especially didn't get it from my family, because they don't do computers and internet like that. And even when they do, they don't mess with things like Google Tube. So I got information from nobody about the ongoings and antics that were happening on either Google Tube or Drama Nation X or wherever. It was not until I got reestablished with my communications and until I started engaging in more regular conversations with my XO that I learned about Mugshot Sotomayor. Correction, Mugshot Harris. This is when I began to learn about the threats that he made against Kernel of Wisdom, the threats that he made against a couple of other well-known Google tubers, not to mention his horrific and sickening, disgusting, appalling, nasty, mean-spirited attack against a 9-year-old little girl. This is when I first started learning about the nastiness and the bitterness and the sickness of TJ Mugshot. And as soon as I began hearing this, as soon as I came to an understanding and realization of what was going on, how many people that he was just essentially just going after for no other reason than just the fact that if you don't agree with me 100%, then I'm going to call you out of your name, or I'm going to say some nasty, mean-spirited things about you, or I'm going to get your channel shut down, or I'm going to block you from participating with me. If you subscribe to Kernel of Wisdom, then I'm going to block you from interacting with me, and I'm going to make all these 300 different channels to make it look like I've got all these followers, and then I'm just going to have all this backup up there just so that I can start flagging campaigns or what, you know. I mean, the guy's a total psycho. And when I came to understand that, one of the very first uploads that I had put back up online, once I got myself reconnected and started involving myself in the situation again, was an attack against this monster, this fraud, this charlatan, this hypocrite. Someone who hates black women so badly that he's essentially shoving his own daughter in front of the train. Someone whose parenting skills were called so far into question that he actually has Google Tube users calling child protective services on him. Someone who is so uncontrollable that he actually has people filing lawsuits against him for internet stalking and harassment and threatening. Which is why I don't understand why a lot of the people who actually I have respect for and who have respect for me give this freak not even a time of day, but even bothering to tell him what year it is. Just because he says a lot of the things that you agree with and that he takes it out and goes rough and goes hard. Hey, I was subscribed to this freak once before myself too, until I discovered what he really was, and I dropped his ass off like a snowball's chance in hell. But see, you weren't paying attention. You weren't listening because you were only hearing what you wanted to hear. And what you wanted to hear was, Gen.Backlash is attacking me and he's attacking my friend. And he just beats up on girls. Because he just won't bend over and just take the bullwhip that all these these man-hating black women just want to keep lashing out at him, and he won't shut up when we slander him, and so he's proving like he's a hypocrite because all he's doing is beating up on us, and he won't go after the man that threatened his wife, now not wife. But see, had you been paying attention, as those who know me well have been paying attention, you would have known from the get-go that I have absolutely nothing positive to say about this freak fantasy that, yeah, I'm actually related to the Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor. Yeah, he's so much related to her that he can't even get his relative to actually call in on that fakey radio show of his and get his back and confirm it once and for all. And by the way, where's his good buddy Rush Limbaugh, which he supposedly also claims that he's good friends with? Why can't Rush call into his fakey radio show just to give him some ups? I mean, after all, he's up there sniffing up in Tariq Nasheed's crotch and up in Steve Harvey's crotch, talking about, hey, I'm small time, bro. Why don't you give me some love and give me some ups, because I'm struggling and you're big time, so help a small time brother out. Oh, you bastard, you bitch, you just a some punk. I'm trying to come at you and trying to get you to help a brother out, and you just want to ignore me, because I'm so damn important that, that's the sign of a psychotic personality, okay? And I've said as much, but you aren't listening. You only wanted to hear that, oh, General's beating up on girls, General's beating up on my friend, General's, and because someone who I thought was my friend backstabbed me, and now they're schmoozing up to Gen.Backlash. And oh, by the way, thanks for reminding me that Alice in Wonderland, aka Allie Emmett, doesn't like me. But you're not telling me anything I didn't already know. In fact, had you listened to at least the past 3 or 4 video uploads that I had done since this whole I say this with rotten crotch thing flew out the window, you would have heard me say on numerous occasions that Allie Emmett and I have had our disagreements. I know she doesn't like me, or at least she didn't like me. She probably still doesn't like me. I don't know. I didn't bother to ask. She hasn't bothered to tell me. But whatever her viewpoint is about me or my behavior or how I handle situations in this Google Tube thing, if she feels that it's important enough to let me know, she'll let me know. And if what she lets me know is, hey, I still don't like you all that much, I'll respect that. If she comes out and says, hey, I gave you some more thought, I gave you a little bit more of a listen, I kind of understand where you're coming from right now, you're still a little too rough-edged for me, so I can't get in your camp 100%, but hey, maybe every so often I might get you back or something, or I can, if nothing else, at least understand your passion, then that's on her too. If she should come around and say, hey, General, total mea culpa, I totally understood you, I totally misinterpreted you, I had no idea who or what you really was, I didn't know what you were really talking about because I was just so emotional, I was so big on trying to get the back of these backstabbers who I come to find out they're nothing but a bunch of hateful freaking shrews and a bunch of hypocrites and lying frauds, that, hey, I'm giving you a chance now. If that's how she wants to come out, that will be on her. But you know what? That's her decision to make towards me. Me personally, I'm either way with it. All I do is I acknowledge that we've had our friction in the past. And as a result of that, I did not only block her as Allie Emmett, but when she established her Alice in Wonderland channel, I had preemptively blocked her on that channel as well. I don't know if I followed through on that on Gen.Backlash 5-star or not, but on my previous Backlash channels, yes, I keep a record of all the people that I block, and I go through them, and it's like, hey, if I block you one time, I block you all the time. But I got a little lazy with 5-star, so I haven't been that passionate about it, and so a few of those names that were originally on my shit list managed to get through. And typically what happens is they either don't bother, or they come at me a little bit more even-tempered, let's say. And then there are those who still come at me nasty, and I was like, hey, didn't I block your stupid ass once before over? Okay, let me just go ahead and correct that mistake. Done deal. So, I don't know. She could be blocked, because of, I said, not surreptitious, but preemptive blocking as a result of reestablishing the channel. But it could very well likely be that I never got around to that, and she has open access to it. And if she's so inclined, she can drop a bomb on me and say, hey, what you were mentioning in this commentary, just so that you understand where I'm coming from, because I feel that it's important enough to let you know, and not try to pull any wool over your eyes or anything. This is how I feel about you now. This is how we felt about each other. Nothing's changed, or a little bit's changed, or hey, I'm coming close to coming more and more on your side, whatever it is. She's free to do that. If not, and if it turns out that I did my little preemptive thing, she's got open access to Kernel of Wisdom. I can find out through Kernel that, hey, Allie Emmett talked to me. She said that, to share this with you, or, you mentioned this, so, just for your consideration, this is where she is now. And I'll respect any decision that she makes as a result of that. Because, see, believe it or not, despite the fact that I've had friction with Allie Emmett in the past, I have a little bit of respect for Allie Emmett. Because even when she came after me, what I thought was kind of underhanded, I don't think that she was doing that so much for herself as she was doing it just because she was trying to get y'all's back, not realizing that she was playing around in a den of vipers. But again, that's what happens when you don't cross-reference and check who you're really going up against. I'm like that's what I said. The same thing happened with me and this TJ Mugshot character. I caught in on the bandwagon originally too, when he first had like 1 or 2, maybe 3 channels at the most. And I thought that, okay, shoot, this is some guy that, he's feeling all the stinging missiles. Everybody's coming after him because he's telling the truth. But then I found out who this freak and this monster really was. I'm like, oh, no. We ain't going to do this. We ain't going to play that. The general is not going to smear and sully his character by getting behind something like this. No. And you would have heard it time and again. You would have read it time and again in text comments. I mean, I get totally infuriated. Ask my girlfriend. No, matter of fact, don't ask my girlfriend. I don't want you corrupting her. But every time I go onto one of these Google channels trying to find out what's happening in my subscriptions, over here in the recommendation, they keep throwing these damn TJ mugshots, new channels, or recommended for you. And I have to keep shutting out of them, hoping that the damn program gets the message, stop recommending me this freakazoid's garbage. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to be anywhere near it. I don't want to see it in my inbox or in my recommendeds or nothing. Because the man is a total psychopath who uses black women and abuses black women verbally and according to his mugshot also literally. Now that's not me saying anything out of speculation. That's from actual posted documentation, official documentation, showing your mugshotted ass spread out all over the place, listing your home city, your offense, and what ramifications came as a result of your offenses. And to think that anybody would follow this as much as he... see, this is the part of where people miss the fact that I'm of balance. Because this TJ mugshot is the truest instance of a black woman basher if I never saw one. But not only does he bash black women, he bashes light-skinned blacks and he bashes dark-skinned blacks. More in the form of dark-skinned black women. Because if you're a dark-skinned black woman, you're an ugly black bitch to him. Gee, what a nice thing to say about your daughter. Because didn't you know that she's that same ugly black bitch that you're laying out? And no, you're not just... you can't escape it by saying, oh, I'm just talking about their character, I'm just talking about their personality. No, you don't talk about somebody's personality by talking about their physical characteristics. No, that doesn't wash. But then again, who could expect less from a psycho who would dare go after a 9-year-old girl, calling her a slut in training? Just because you have some imaginative reason to beef with her mother. And people follow your shark. When you go around threatening people, and that's accepted as worthy of accolades and adulation, how can you, people? Really, how can you? Explain that to me. But see, again, all these things you thought that I didn't know, or you thought that I was oblivious to, or that you thought that you could call me out as a hypocrite, or as two-faced, or not consistent. I told you, my middle name is consistency. It always has been. So that's why you can't get away with this. That's why your little sneaky tactic about how I won't go after a man who threatened my wife / not my wife, my friend. Because you weren't listening. And when you do listen, you only listen to the bits and pieces that you want to hear, that give you an opportunity to, again, try to make yourself look high and mighty. Because you're getting called out too often as being a coward and a fraud and a lying, stinking cunt. Who goes out starting up and stirring up beef, and then whines and cries when the ass gets stung. Calling somebody else the bully, calling somebody else the cyber stalker, calling somebody else the harasser. Trying to play all innocent. But see, I've said before, there's a reason that I keep your name on the top surface, and why I keep your friend's name on the top surface. Because as I've explained before, I've had many a beef with some of the folks that were even as nasty as you, and as much of a coward and a fraud and charlatan and a hypocrite as you. Drama Nation X, I had to deal with the the whole light skin, the anti-light skin brigade, in the form of Jade is whack and Divine Clown. Yeah, I'll still call them by their diss names, but you know what? Nobody's heard me going after them in a long time. Why? Because essentially they shut up. But see, this crap got started with Jade is whack when I essentially did what she asked. When she uploaded a video to Drama Nation X with a list of 5 questions asking, what's your definition of a good man, or how do you justify black men being this way or that way? So if you can answer these 5 questions, and of course me seeing a challenge, I said, okay, I'll answer those 5 questions. Problem is, due to the limited space that they allowed on Drama Nation X at the time, I can't answer it here, but I'll answer it on my Daily Motion channel, which is when I was doing Daily Motion when I left GoogleTube the first time. Now I'm looking at trying to leave it again and to start my own little, to get my own website started up. I'm looking very seriously into that now because I'm getting tired of Google's antics. But no, why'd you go and do what this fraud and charlatan asked us to do, which was, hey, answer this list of questions. I answered them, and I made the announcement on Drama Nation X. Hey, I took the challenge because nobody else seemed that they wanted to touch them. I touched them. If you want to see my answer and my take on it, here's my link. Kid Brother is watching on dailymotion.com. And apparently that was the wrong answer. And so started the shitstorm with her, which eventually expanded to Divine Clown, which eventually expanded into Deborah Cooper, Ms. Heartbeat, Simone C., which eventually expanded into, of all people, main artery. How he got on this shit, I don't know. Why he got on it, I don't know. But I had a whole slew of people I had to deal with over there. But you know what? For all the vitriolic back and forth that we did, I ain't got shit to say to them or about them today. You know why? Because it's over and it's done, and because of the fact that they never tried to spread any slanderous lies or rumors or smear my character in any such a way, or to do anything on a broad scale by uploading a hateful video with all sorts of lies and subtle innuendo and all sorts of slander, and then start dancing a jig when people started interacting and continued to perpetuate the lie. See, they may not have liked me and I may not have liked them, but see, we had a back and forth, and each side got their side out until one side eventually folded, which is usually their side. Because as I said, when I stand on truth, they come back with ad hominems, and then when I return ad hominems with more truth and truth behind the ad hominems, essentially, eventually, the people who keep coming after me start to figure it out and they learn to shut up. Still pissed off the hell at me, still don't like me, still despise my guts. But they said, hey, it's time to call this thing to an end. And being honorable people, they call it to an end. And when they decide to call it to an end, I call it to an end. Other than calling her by her diss name, but ask Jade is whack the last time I ever came at her and said anything offhand about her. Ask any of them. Ask Alec Nile, this screaming, harpy, shrieking, feminist, fraudulent shrew, who didn't realize how the general operated. So when he came to answer a legitimate question when she raised a comment on Obama's health care plan about giving free contraception to women, talking about what a great and wonderful thing this is for women, and I asked her the simple and honest and logical question. It's like, well, hey, what about the men in this issue? You know, birth control is supposed to be a two-way street. Isn't that what these harpy feminists always keep telling us, that it takes two to tango and men need to be responsible for their reproduction? So I'm like, okay, so if President Barry Yo is going to offer reproductive contraceptive for the female side of the equation, then are you going to get up in arms over the fact that he's not offering it to men also? Don't you think that's a little bit hypocritical? And because of that little bit of logic dropping, she launches out into calling me all sorts of predators and all sorts of misogynists and all sorts of this, that, and the other, and how I hate women and hate children. Gee, kind of like what I say this with Rotten Crotch kind of started spreading about me, huh? That sounds familiar, right? And of course, the whole time, back and forth, I just kept sticking one question to her. Okay, let's just say, for the sake of this discussion, since you think this is going to shut me up, let me ask you just this one little question, these two little questions actually. If I'm such a misogynist, and if I'm such a predator because of the views that I hold, and because I ask these questions, and because, according to you, it's because you care about the children, that you're all about looking after the children and wanting to protect the children, and because I don't see things your way, I hate children, then explain this to me, Bravo. Since all these things make me a misogynist and make me a predator, then pray tell, what does that make my mother? Who also, number one, happens to be someone who believes and expresses the exact same views that I do, to the letter, and number two, by being my mother, also makes her a woman. So, again, essentially the question I'm asking her is, can a woman be a misogynist? Yes or no? Simple question to answer, really. You either answer, yes, a woman can be a misogynist, and shut me up, or you answer, no, a woman can't be a misogynist, and essentially out yourself as a victim feminist and a fraud. But see, she couldn't do that, so she had to keep slamming. She had to find a way to keep trying to deflect from the conversations, and she thought that the way to do it was to just keep shouting ad hominem attacks and calling people predators and whatnot. But you know what? I ain't got jack to say to her or about, well, not about necessarily about her, but I ain't got jack to say to her. I don't got to get all up in her face and try to out her or anything like that, and just keep the drama going. You know why? Because she didn't slander me in videos, and she didn't try to smear my character, and she didn't try to do the things that you and I sadists have been doing all this time. As much as she despised me, as much heated argument as we got into each other's face with, as much as I'm sure she wished me dead, she never went that route. And because of which, when she got to the point where she managed to divert away from where I was trying to hit her with, by the time that she got quiet, I figured, okay, the fight's over. My turn to get quiet. And I hadn't mentioned Alec Nile in all this time until just now. Simply because of a comparison. Same thing with that Tea Party freak, War Fossil, or as I call him, Dick Fossil. Because all the while Alec Nile was trying to slam me in the best way that she could by talking about how much of a Tea Party crazy that I was, here I was actually engaging in a back and forth bitter argument with a Tea Party crazy who was trying to shove me in front of the train by calling me a bleeding heart liberal who was out of touch with this, that, or the other, and kept trying, as he might, to just essentially the same thing that I was doing with Alec Niles. It's like, back you into a corner, answer one simple question, and then it'll be done. And his question was, okay, since you want to dispute the fact that what I said in text comment to somebody else when they asked, well, why are the Tea Party full of bunch of why are they so crazy, why are they so out of their nut, is as it were. And I came in and I dropped the essentially what is a basic truth, is the fact that the reason the Tea Party is so nutsoid is because they're all Republicans. But of course, that was the wrong thing to say to War Fossil, so he decides that he's going to set me correct, and is like, the Tea Party's made up of all political parties. Okay, so answer me two questions then. One, where are the Democrats who are part of the Tea Party? And number two, where are the people of color in the Tea Party? Since people of color typically vote or lean Democratic, so just answer those two questions for me. Where are the Tea Party Democrats, and where are the minority Tea Parties? Couldn't answer either one of them until he dug real deep and pulled out. See, there's this example in this California, this Los Angeles Tea Party, or whatever the heck they were. A bunch of black guys formed, supposedly representing the Tea Party. And I said, yeah, nice try. Problem is, you didn't finish reading the whole story. Those black members that made up the Tea Party, they weren't local. There were a few people that came out of Oakland that bust themselves in, trying to put on this pretense like, oh, the Tea Party's just this great big tent. But there was no real black Tea Party there. And on top of that, you still didn't answer the other question. Where are the Tea Party Democrats? Because even the black Tea Partiers that you highlighted admitted that, number one, they were Republican, and number two, that they viewed the Tea Party as a Republican wing, as a wing of the Republican Party. And that the people that they were holding to account in the Tea Party were not Democrats, but Republicans. But, of course, again, as I said, wrong answer. And so when you give the wrong answer, which again means the truth, then agenda frauds always come out with the vitriol, with the attacks, with the slander, and they got to do anything and everything to try to shut you up. And they think that by being all nasty and vicious about you and laying all sorts of unflattering remarks at you is the way to shut you up, only to find out that no, it doesn't work that way. But again, why until now, after all this time has passed, did I even bother to bring up War Fossil's name? It's because it's for the sake of comparison. Because as nasty and as mean and as vitriolic as War Fossil was, not to mention how stupid and totally in denial that he was, but for all of the bitterness that we had back and forth with one another, he didn't decide to go around and making slanderous videos about me, calling me out of my name, calling me out of my character, trying to spread lies, rumors, and vicious innuendo. That's why I don't go after War Fossil. Every rare once in a while, I might tweak his nerve if I come across his name in somebody else's video upload where he's still spewing his little garbage. Like I said, I'll drop a little reminder. It's like, hey, I haven't forgotten about you. I'm still here. I'm lying dormant like the herpes virus that infects I say this with you-know-who. But, just to let you know, hey, still here. Just, maybe whenever you want to get around to answering that question that I raised, feel free. But, until then, just know, hi, still here. I haven't gone anywhere. But see, I don't come after him all nasty and bitter and start saying all sorts of things that try to expose him or start doing anything to try to dehumanize him or anything. Because he didn't go that route with me. Alec Nile did not go that route with me. Whereas, by contrast, people like Divine Brown and Jade is Back, they decided to go after me like that. But after a while, they shut up. They took their stuff down. And they said, okay, it's done. And I said, okay, great. Then it behooves me then to repay in kind. If you're not going to keep the fight going, I'm not going to keep the fight going either. We both leave under mutual understanding that we don't like each other. And we know why we don't like each other. And we know essentially who had the better argument, because one decided to delve into vitriolic ad hominem attacks, and the other one decided to retaliate with ad hominem attacks, but backed up with more facts and truth. So we know each other, essentially, as Judge Judy would say. But if we're going to bring it to an end, if you decide that it's over, it's done, there's no more blood that I can squeeze out of this turnip, now I'm like, okay, you're done, I'm done. Shake hands, call it even. And see, if you, rotten crotches, had that much character about yourselves, you wouldn't have to worry about me constantly being up here lighting the torches to your asses, or jumping in on the bandwagon when your enemy is my enemy, decides to schmooze up to another branch of our enemies and outs the former enemies that she was originally associated with, because her former enemies decided for whatever reason to stab her in the back. And so giving me an opening like that, fine. I'll take it. As I explained, I'll take any opening that's available. Don't think that just because I go away and get quiet for a while, that means that I've forgotten, or that I'm not going to come back at you when the opportunity presents itself. Because as long as you keep doing what you're doing, I'll be here. And I'll be standing at the ready, like a vulture. So, I think I've made my point clear. Again, about who I am, what I'm about, what I do, when I do it, why I do it, how I do it, and who I do it to, or with, or about. You see, you don't have anything against me. You can't find anything against me. I've been an open book in this forum from day stinking one. There's not anything about me that either has not already been broadcast either by myself or by someone else who accurately knows me, or that eventually will come out in some way, shape, or form. And whenever it comes out, if it's the truth, I've got nothing to say. When it's a lie, or when it's inaccurate, you will hear my mouth, or read my text comment, whatever the situation is at the time. So understand that. Keep that in mind, so that you can do whatever it is that you want to keep doing. But just remember, if it ain't above board, and if it's in continuation of the BS that you've got going now, that you've had going for the past year or so, just expect more of the same from me.